Good morning, Eastern Mennonite School. Welcome to the new school year. It is good to be in person. I wish this chapel could be in person, face to face, but we have a new chapel format this year, at least for the beginning. But it's still about the same thing. It's about building community, being together, hearing some common things to tease our minds. They will be pre-recorded, which gives some benefits. You could stop and pause. You could rewatch. You could share. We can even have presenters from around the world. Today, I want to talk with you a little bit about waiting. You might have heard, wait! Kind of implies that you're trying to catch up to someone. Maybe you're a bit in a hurry because some others have left without you. But there's another wait. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord. That's something from Psalm 27, verse 14. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that type of wait. This spring, I planted some watermelons. I've planted watermelons many times before. I have never, ever grown a very good watermelon. So this year I decided to put a lot of compost, about 50% compost, 50% soil from my garden. I bought these special seeds that looked like a crimson sweet watermelon, quick to harvest in 55 days. I wouldn't have to wait too long. And I've YouTubed and found that when the tendril that is closest to the stem feeding the watermelon, here we have the watermelon, the stem, the closest tendril starts to die, that is when the watermelon can be picked. So on Sunday, I picked my very first watermelon. I was pleased with its size. Here you can see it. My wife typically is the one who gets them from Costco or the grocery store, and she always looks for a dark green rind with a nice blonde bleach spot on the bottom. And my watermelon had both of these. So I was pretty hopeful. I cut open the watermelon, and there we have it. It's pink, not quite as red as I would have liked, but it really, with all of the rain, is very full of water, like its name. And it's sweet. It's a good watermelon. I was a bit disappointed by the package. You might have noticed looked like a seedless watermelon. And this one has seeds distributed throughout. So that was my biggest disappointment. And I went back, I pulled out the package, and sure enough, the image shows this nice seedless watermelon, but nowhere on the package does it talk about being a seedless watermelon. So I've waited 55, I think it must be 65 or 75 days. It seems like a long time since I planted that watermelon vine. And finally picked my first watermelon. I'm going to let the next one ripen a little bit longer. But it was a good test for me to wait. I do not like to wait. Do you? In fact, I find myself often, I think of myself as a patient person, but there are many times when I realize I am not patient at all. So if you have time this morning, maybe you can talk about when are moments you've had to wait. Are there things that you do that make waiting more bearable? Do you know stories of people who have waited for God? And how has this changed them? Today's story comes from Psalm 27. It tells of a national leader, King David, who writes the whole psalm during these times of trouble. It reminds me a little bit of today's times of trouble, pandemic times, racial injustice times. It's a time when leaders do not always feel in control. In fact, they might feel like things are getting out of hand. And King David writes during this time of when there were warring factions, I imagine civil unrest in his area. He talks of enemies. He realizes that he is not in control. And he takes and talks about in Psalm 27 of this posture. It's a time to learn. It's a time to be merciful. It's a time to have courage and to encourage people. So during these moments in our season of COVID, I think it's a good reminder that we are not always in control, but God is. And it's a time where we can learn and try new things. We're expecting you to be doing school in new ways this year. And it's a time to be gracious for one another, to be merciful, to have an attitude of patience, of it's okay, we can do this, encourage one another, but also to have strong courage in your own heart that I can do this, I can practice, I can wear a mask, I can do things that are within my control to make it better for everyone else. So what does waiting at EMS look like this year? Well, one may be when you jump to go to school, you realize, oh, have I done my daily home screening? That's going to take a little extra time. You'll have to wait. You'll need to wait on the thermometer. But we ask you to really be cautious about your health. If your health is good and others in your household are sick, that might also be an indication that that's a time to stay home, take it easy, not risk bringing sickness into the school that might come on you later. You'll notice signs around the hallways about washing or about spreading the COVID virus. And this is a time to pay attention to those. When you are at home, there's no risk of picking up or spreading that to other people. It's a very no risk at all in terms of contagious. When you're at school, if someone is sick and another person is well, but both are masked up and you're staying 6 feet apart, you have a very low risk of spreading a disease. And that's what we are aiming for, is no to very low risk this year so that we all can feel content and safe about being at school. You'll notice hallways that are striped with arrows that if you're going in the direction of the arrow, keep moving. If you're finding yourself going in the opposite direction of the arrow, it's a time to pause, do a U-turn, and follow those arrows. That will keep our passageways from interacting with each other as much and will help keep us safer. There are other things that you might notice around the school that are different. There are these hooks that are by the restrooms. Each teacher will have a lanyard for a restroom pass. And when the hook is filled, meaning this restroom can handle 2 people, if there's a lanyard on both hooks, then you need to just wait patiently out in the hallway until someone comes out. You'll notice plenty of sanitization stations. So clean your hands often, wash them during wash breaks, and you'll have to, again, just be patient with taking your turn and not rushing one another. You'll notice a lot of tables will have student names, and all teachers are requested to have classroom seating charts so that if we do need to do some contact tracing, we know who we need to talk to based on the proximity with classmates as well as who else may have been in the room. You'll notice signs that are in bright yellow along a lot of rooms that give a maximum occupancy. So instead of just barging into a classroom, wait patiently, perhaps knock on the door, wait until you're invited in if a classroom is in session, just so that we can make sure we're keeping our classroom safe. And you'll notice these eyeball cameras in most classrooms. These eyeball cams look a little bit like an eyeball, and you might be asked to come up and talk with a classmate who may be at home. And so again, these cameras will pick up the sound in the classroom and pick up your image very nicely, but you'll need to be patient and take your turn with those. In fact, if they're being used to record the classroom, they are most effective when only one person is speaking. So make sure you take your turn in speaking as well. Waiting. It's a reminder we are not in control, but our everlasting God is trustworthy and is in control. I hope you have a fantastic year. I'm excited to get to know you in a better way. And as we learn this new way of doing school this year, I am so thrilled that we can do it together. I leave you with this song by Chris Tomlin, Everlasting God, and wish you a fantastic year. I look forward to encountering you often.
God, you are everlasting.